Some warnings don't come through words. They come through the heart. That morning felt like any other regular duty day. Lieutenant Nicholas Blackwood stood firm, silent, unshaken in posture. For a royal guard like him, duty was sacred. Discipline, tradition, and loyalty came above all else, and by his side, his only true companion, his proud and vigilant horse, Valor. Valor stood steady as always, calm and composed, until something changed. The horse suddenly lifted his head, ears alert. He took a deep breath through his flared nostrils. His eyes sharpened, hooves scraping the ground. His body tensed. Blackwood caught it instantly. This wasn't random behavior. This was instinct, raw, trained, and precise. Then she appeared. A pregnant woman walked toward them, her belly clearly showing she was well into her third trimester. Her steps were hesitant. One hand cradled her stomach protectively. The other swayed nervously at her side. Her face was pale, anxious. The crowd around her parted subtly, their whispers rising as she passed. But Valor didn't just react to fear. He reacted to something deeper. As the woman came closer, Valor grew more restless. He stomped harder. He neighed sharply, pulling at his reins. The woman froze, startled. Her eyes widened in fear. "Please, make him stop," she pleaded, her voice trembling, eyes darting around, desperate for help. Blackwood stepped forward slowly, eyes locked on hers, but every sense focused on Valor's growing agitation. This wasn't about an external threat. No weapons, no signs of violence. But something wasn't right. And Valor, more than anyone, could feel it. The woman was escorted away gently, though confusion filled her voice. "I didn't do anything wrong. I just want to go home," she kept saying. But Blackwood wasn't taking chances. Valor had never reacted like this without cause. Inside the secure room, the woman was questioned. Her belongings were inspected. A female officer asked gently, "Do you have any medical conditions we should know about?" The woman shook her head. "No, just, I'm 7 months pregnant." Her voice shook, and her uncertainty was written all over her face. Outside, Valor paced restlessly. He pushed against the door with his nose, pawed at the ground, let out a high-pitched whinny. He was desperate. Blackwood had seen this horse in the heat of ceremonial drills during state security operations, but never like this. This wasn't training. This was instinct screaming out. Then, from inside, came a cry. The woman gasped. Her hands clutched her belly, her face twisted in pain. "Something's wrong," she whispered, barely audible, then collapsed into a chair, legs buckling. Sweat glistened on her forehead, her breathing short and rapid. Blackwood shouted toward the room, "Get medical support, now!" The paramedics rushed in. Her pulse was erratic. One medic pressed a hand to her abdomen and immediately paused. His expression changed. "This isn't labor. This is something else." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Please help. My baby." The diagnosis came fast. Internal rupture. Critical. Life-threatening. If they didn't act immediately, both mother and child would be lost. The woman was lifted onto a stretcher. Blackwood moved alongside her, and Valor, still restless, took steps as far as the rope would allow, eyes locked on her. Even through the noise, the murmurs, the confusion around them, the bond between the soldier, the horse, and the woman pulsed strong. As she was loaded into the ambulance, her eyes fluttered open. She turned her head slightly toward Valor and whispered, "Thank you." Her voice barely more than a breath. But it wasn't meant for the guards or even the medics. It was meant for the horse. Hours passed. Blackwood waited outside the hospital. Valor was finally calm, but every so often his ears twitched at sudden sounds. They were both waiting, hoping. Then the doors opened. A doctor walked out. His face unreadable for a moment, then a soft smile appeared. "She made it," he said, both of them. They're stable now. Blackwood exhaled deeply, realizing he'd been holding his breath the entire time. He placed a hand on Valor's mane. You felt it. You knew. The doctor approached them again. There was an internal rupture, he explained. If she hadn't received medical attention when she did, she wouldn't have survived. Neither would the baby. I don't know how your horse sensed it, but he saved their lives. A nurse walked over with a small folded piece of paper. It was a note from the mother. Tell the horse, he's my angel. Blackwood read it in silence, his throat tightening. He looked down at Valor, whose eyes met his. Calm now, but knowing. Sometimes, saving a life doesn't come from orders or commands. Sometimes, it comes from a heart that simply refuses to ignore the silent cry for help. Later that evening, Blackwood returned to his post. Valor once again calm and composed beside him. The crowds had returned, unaware of the miracle that had unfolded hours before. But Blackwood knew. And as he stood there, he glanced at the tourists passing by, some taking photos, others simply observing, and he realized something profound. Not every day on duty ends in history books, but today, his horse had written a silent chapter in one family's story. A life saved, not by command, not by protocol, but by intuition, by loyalty, by love. And that was the true meaning of honor.